All right. Okay, it is Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. You know what's interesting about it? I didn't want to go and get some plaits today, and then she didn't have time to do it, so she decided she would just slick it back. So, we did everything that we had to do to move all the pyrotechs away from my hair so that it doesn't catch on fire, for the amount of, the flammable chemicals that was put in my hair today. However, it is intact, I think, and I do get to go tomorrow or the day after, depending on what our schedule is. You tune into the number one show for comprehensive barbershop talk, beer, and a conversation. I'm joined by none other than Mr. Rashid Muhammad.
What's up?
And today's special guest, Sage Akeem. How do I say your last name?
Akeem.
Sage Akeem. And Mr. Daryl Yates was the other guest for the show today. He is sitting in traffic on I-5 in Los Angeles, California. And so once he gets stationary, if he can get stationary within the time, I told him it's only an hour show. He thought it was longer than that. It is not. Mr. Yates, I did tell you that. That he is going to try to log in. But I want to say this. I've known Sage Akeem for quite a while. We lived in the same building together. I've developed a great deal of respect for him. And when we started getting into the topics that we talk about, this topic today about homophobia and about specifically within our community and the disdain at times or the separation between black men who are straight and black men who identify as gay. I think that it's very, very important to note that a lot of this stuff is mythical. It means nothing. Once you get to know your brethren, you get to know your brethren. And I couldn't be prouder to know someone such as Sage Akeem, such as Daryl Yates. Me and Daryl Yates had become friends in 2008 or 2009. And at that particular time, I didn't know what his sexual preference was, and I don't think that it is or was important in comparison to the relationship that I developed with him as an individual. Thankfully, with time, he felt comfortable enough to let me know what his sexual preference was, that he was a gay man. But the point I'm saying about it, the immaturity in me as a man, had I known up front, and I'm not saying that I am this way now, but had I known up front that he was a gay man, I would not have been friends with him. And it wouldn't be because I felt like he was a bad person. It was because there were just things that I didn't know. There was assumptions that I had based off of things that have been generationally passed down. I would have said, well, you know what? This guy probably wants to go out and hang out and go to gay bars and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of misconceptions. And because I had built that bond with him as an individual, upon getting the information about what his preference was in terms of dating, I decided to continue to be friends with him because he was my friend. And now I sit with a neighbor and a friend, Sage Akeem. I am very happy to have you here on this platform.
It's a pleasure.
I really, really am.
It's a pleasure.
And I just want to have a discussion because Mr. Yates comes on within time, good or not. You're going to be the man of the hour, but I'm curious. And I'm going to ask some questions. I'm not going to ask you anything that is too intimately personal, but I want to know, and I think a lot of people want to know. At what point did you decide in your life that you had a preference to, be gay or to deal with men, or just let's talk about it. Let's just get it out in the open and, You know, was it 20s, 30s? I mean, you'll know. Just go ahead and feel free to speak freely.
Okay, I'm going to say for myself, I was about 19, 20 years old. And I finally came out when I was 21 years old. And currently I'm 51, so.
I didn't even know that. 30 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Been a minute.
Sure, a lot's changed in 30 years, huh?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
just
changed.
around. I'm sure you've changed, but I'm sure a lot of things have changed around you. Or have they?
Yes, things have changed.
Okay.
What would you say the most prominent change? Sorry, I'm
No. Go ahead, Rashid. Go
What would
ahead.
you say the most prominent, just general environmental, social change has been in those 30 years?
I'm going to say, for starters, you know, I have a 30-year-old daughter. And I wasn't always a full-time dad, you know, and I could have been, but because of my personal life being homosexual, you know, I didn't want to, there were times I wouldn't want to include her or be around because I would have others, like relationships in my life. So I know that's one thing that definitely was a change because I am built on family, love. I come from a house with a mom and a dad, a good mom and a good dad.
Thanks for sharing that.
No. That's big, and I guess that was hard. I mean, you grew up in the North, didn't you?
New York City.
Okay.
Brooklyn.
That made it a little easier. There was another guy who
Did that make it easier?
Did what make it
I mean,
easier?
you said that made it easier. I'm just curious. Did that actually make it easier? Do you think it was easier?
Coming from New York?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, tell us. Yeah.
no, I don't think it made it easier. You know, I was always accepted by my family, but I never told my family until my older years.
So you didn't tell them. You said you came out when you were 21.
Right.
Did you come into your family? I guess that's coming out.
No,
It's coming out okay.
right.
All right.
So
yeah,
that
right.
would have
Just wanted
been
to make sure
probably in my 40s. I told my mom, and my dad and I never had that conversation yet.
Right, and so there's a gentleman that I know, and I can't say his because I have to when it comes to these things, I have to let everybody else say who they are. I can't tell you who they are. But I had talked to a gentleman who I knew was a part of the gay community, and he had said to me, well, the lady who we knew, their mutual friends, had told me, and I didn't think it was a big deal because we're talking about it. We're in 2020s. And she said, well, you know, he's gay or whatever. But I didn't care about that. Not at this stage in our life, that means nothing to me. You know what I mean? That's what he decides he wants to do. But here's the point. The point was, when I said something to him, he said, well, how did you know? I said, well, such and such told me. Now I can't say anybody's names. But the point is that he's 40. And he's from South Georgia. And he still ain't told his family. And so, I know that it's real. The reason I had brought it up is my assumption is because based off of what he told me, because I wanted him to come down too, but he didn't want to. But he was trying to get one of his homies to come. He didn't want to come himself because he still hadn't come out because of the stigma. So we want... For there to be more tolerance, we need understanding. For there to be more understanding, we need conversations. And that is why we're here. And that's why I said, maybe it was a little bit... I know in the Bible Belt South, there was a time you couldn't buy liquor on Sundays. You know? Mm-hmm. And there is just this idea, and Rashid, you can help me, but there's this idea that if you're from the North, or if you're in more quote-unquote liberal environments, then things are more acceptable. And that's why I said what I said. It was like, well, maybe up north it would have been, you said 40. See, I didn't even know that because we've never had this discussion. Mm-hmm. We're having this discussion today. Mm-hmm. And that's a 40-year-old man. That's a 40-year-old grown man that pays his own bills. Mm-hmm. People are not aware of that. So what do you think? I mean, do you feel, who was the guy from Power, Empire or whatever?
Jesse Smollett.
Smollett. Do you feel a real threat of being harmed because you're a gay man? Because you're, if you do, you do. If you don't,
no,
you
it's
don't.
fun. I'm just laughing because it's funny you asked that. So I've never felt I was a threat at all until living in Atlanta. I've been here since 2011 by way of DC. And I was living in Vine City, right off of Northside Drive, right down the opposite side from where we were neighbors. And I was going to the gas station to get something, and there was a school bus being transported by 2 police officers, 2 vehicles. And I realized it was a prison vehicle. And just out of nowhere, as I'm walking by, they started calling me every gay name, slur, like animals coming from this bus. Like, we talking about, it sounded like the bus was just loaded with nothing but prisoners. And for the first time in my life, that's when I ever, mind you, they're locked down in a vehicle escorted by police, but the hatred that was coming, that I was hearing, that was being directed at me, that was the first time in my life, and I was in my 40s, that I ever felt fearful. Feared for in my life. Other than that, no, I don't. As a black man, I feel fearful at times. But no, not as a gay man.
I think that's going to go to the crux of the conversation. Go ahead, Rashid.
I'm just curious, how did they know?
Evidently, they was able to see in my walk, my hair color. I had blonde hair at the time. Who knows? It's prisoners. It could have just been the hair color. Yeah. It could have been my walk is different. You know, it could have been the clothes. Mind you, I dress normal, but it could have still been like this. In my walk,
metrosexual. I mean, because you are a stylist,
you know.
And well, I don't want to say stylist, but what is it that you like? Let's talk about your business too.
Okay, so I am a visual conceptualist and fashion stylist. I'm a storyteller through all things fashion.
And the metrosexual look often at times mirrors at times a homosexual look, and like there are a lot of gay men who are consulted about being, helping people dress and stuff like that, and stylists. Rashid,
I'm sorry.
They are hairdressers. There's a lot. Come on, man. Don't fuck around. I'm just saying that to say I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's well known that gay men typically are better at putting people together. Look, you can say what you want to say. I'm telling you what I have seen and heard. And if I'm wrong, okay, fine, I'll deal with that. But I don't think that's a bad stereotype. That they have a better, knack for style. But go ahead.
Now, so you were just mentioning metrosexual. That's just labels. People like, especially this generation, they like to create labels. Because to me, men always should want to take care of themselves. My dad was a street hustler, but he was, wearing the 3-inch heels, the sharkskin suits, married to my mom's, had his woman on the side doing whatever he did, but he manicured himself. You know what I'm saying? So today, metrosexual, I guess if a guy wears slim fit jeans, a floral print shirt, pink, people just label it what they want to label it.
It's funny because I haven't heard the term metrosexual in like 10 years. Like, I didn't realize people still said that.
Yeah, that's kind of been obsolete.
Well, yeah, that's the best word I had.
And I remember it was like a pretty boy or whatever. But again, like the stuff you talk, like, I love wearing pink and like wearing paisley and like, now when I was younger, I had like no style. But at some point, I just decided I just wanted to I just recognized I just dressed like crap. And I was like, all right, let me figure this out. And once you commit to it, at some point you start experimenting with shit.
Understood.
You know what I'm
Definitely,
saying?
definitely.
I was at a party with my girl the other day, and like I had like a patterned shirt, a patterned sweater, a patterned blazer, patterned pocket square, patterned tie, and again, you got to understand a lot. You got to understand colors and gauges and all that sort of stuff. And this woman came up to me and was like, "Damn, I was gonna try to style over here, and I didn't do it, man." But I'm just saying, I mean, there's a certain kind of pride that men. I mean, I think there is a fundamental. It's not. I think there's a fundamental male thing just about customizing, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like it's like your car, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like me when I was a kid, the geek like my computer, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
It's the same instinct for me
to
like put something tight together.
Most definitely. It's funny because even in my younger years, we talking about 16, 17. I've been on my own since 16. I wanted the dope tank top, the dope drawers to possibly match the banging socks, the good smell. You know what I'm saying? So like again, it's just those labels. I always thought a man did want to take pride in himself.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, I appreciate your honesty. I love it. All right. So here's the other thing, and this is a big one here. With regard to, let's talk about mainstream media for a second. Let's get your opinion. I know my opinion, where I sit and I stand straight, man. I don't watch a lot of television, but I want to know, how do you feel? Do you feel like they are pushing a gay agenda on people? This is what we do here. We talk, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking that, because I took my daughter to Six Flags one time, and it was a man and woman that were kind of, not men, they were adolescents, male and female, and they just were doing a lot of making out and heavy petting. And this was heterosexual, and I didn't like it. How do you feel? Do you feel like the mainstream media is pushing an agenda? Is it because you don't behave that way? I've never seen you, even with, whomever you've been around. I've never seen you do that. That doesn't seem like the norm. Is that the norm? Now, I've been to a gay club in Philly. I wandered in. I did. I told you guys about it. I didn't know. I didn't know where I was going. But what I'm saying is that, okay, all right, when we're in an environment where people feel comfortable and they feel like they're definitely unjudged, that's one thing. And they did things that, they felt comfortable doing. But that was somewhere that they felt comfortable. That was an exclusive facility where they knew they could go in. But I'm talking about like ABC, NBC, all of this. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that it's being imposing?
Can I ask just a clarifying question before you answer, Sage? So what exactly is a gay agenda?
Did I say a gay agenda?
Did he say gay agenda?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So but if you did say that, which you did, answer his question.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
if he's gonna answer, if he's gonna have to answer, I just clarify.
I'm saying, like, in terms of, if it's your choice, it's your choice.
Oh,
you said you grew up.
I get it.
You grew up with a mother and a father. If it's your choice, it's your choice. Nobody had to force it on you, or. So how do you feel about the media? This is a big one. This is like your landmark. Right? I mean, not in the sense of, what do you think? Because I don't like seeing heterosexuals make out and doing. I mean, I kind of still get rosy cheeks, Rashid. And I'm telling you,
I think that's a common social reaction. Like PDA is at least in a lot of American culture, it's not something that's commonly like approved of, especially when it's like particularly egregious. I mean, I think that is a thing, regardless of sexual orientation.
Well, P-Valley and all of that. Have you seen P-Valley?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's do it. Now we're getting into the show.
All right. So is there an agenda that they're pushing? I would definitely say A lot of what goes on in the world is whatever's in the media is what the agenda is that they're pushing. Kanye West in the media, everything, it's what they want to push. It's also how you want to take it, whether it be distraction, whether it be for others to want to feel a part of something. Everybody wants to be inclusive in something, you know what I mean? So are they pushing an agenda? I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was mentioning how creativity, it seems like creativity is on an all-time low. All the reboots in movies, I know music's always been sampled, but originality is at an all-time low. With that being said, it's like, I remember, maybe a decade ago, time flies, there was the gay person in a movie or in a show. And now it's like years later, today, every show's gotta have the black token or Caucasian or Chinese token gay person. It's like back in the day, to see that, even though homosexual has always been known, might have been more taboo, it's like you appreciated it, if you did see it and was living it, and now it's like it's everywhere. And of course, it's almost like everything in the media, they trying to make it almost non-binary, where there is going to be no sexes. It's not going to be. We see it already. You can't she, her. You got to use pronouns. It's like it's almost they want to erase everything that has law and order. And if you have no law and order, then you have nothing but chaos.
That is probably the best.
And it's in so many different areas.
That's the best explanation to a question I have ever asked a guest on this show, ever.
Can we unpack this a little bit?
Go ahead, Rashid.
Because say you were talking about Law and Order,
mm-hmm.
and I know we were talking about TV and stuff like that, so I'm just more talking about that on the show. But I wonder, I hear this thing about it again. I think it's very clear that, like, the normalizing of visibility of gay folk or gay, lesbian, the numerous non-cisgendered heterosexual ways of being, there's definitely a trend to like mainstream that. And on some level, it's probably, to your point, and I think to the point of black people who first started seeing black people on TV, however many years ago that was, I definitely think that, to the extent that there are things that are real in people's lives and people see those things echoed through the media, that is a good thing. And I would also say that, I think Derek Bell might say that, this is just capitalism. The thing he would say about capitalism is that capitalism is always growing and expanding, and it's like this rapacious monster, and it's always looking for new areas to grow within, right? And so you could say that expanding into this territory, like trying to open up like a LGBTQ crowd or whatever, it's just like that instinct. But I'm just curious about when you say law and order and like I can't remember the exact terminology you use, but the non-adhering to law and order. Mm-hmm. I'm curious about where you're going with that.
Okay, so when I say law and order, it was in reference to answering your question about the agenda. This has nothing to do about a person living their life gay. This has nothing to do about, one should feel not accepted, any of that. The law and order part is just like, you have female, you have male, you have she, you have he, okay, you have him, you have her. Now you want to eliminate those.
Come on now.
And it's like soon, like I said, it's going to be, there's not going to be no straight, there's not going to be no gay. It's going to be do whatever you, a vagabond, a wasteland. We see it slowly occurring in so many different areas. Back in the day, the music industry was raping the artists. today they're still learning how to rape the artist, and it's even worse. You know what I mean? So things just get newer and improved. It's a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare.
So I think that one of the reasons, because we have to have a reason for why we do the shows. Like, we can't do this shit just do the shit. It is really more about, like I said, we need black men to be black men. And so that's why I think that, just coming off of the point that you just made, the important thing to understand, that black men need to understand if they are gay, is that they can be gay. We gives a fuck about that, but we need us to be united. Before there's an LGBTQ, you was born a black man. And that is the fraternity to which you belong to first. That's where your obligation lies. My personal opinion. Now, Rashid may tell you something different. He always is going to oppose me in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But
I don't oppose it. And I think kind of at the core of a lot of stuff that we just talked about, there is a kind of the current trend of like intersectional feminism, which is very much about identity, and it's very much about I'm losing my train of thought here. So the thing is that it's about like intersecting identity. So you're a black male, but you're a black male, gay, well off, tall, good looking, there are all these other things that like, Christian, all these other things that intersect there.
Will you leave Julio Jones alone?
Well, and people, and that is so dark skinned, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all those things that intersect. And like what people prioritize is kind of a subjective thing, right? And so like to just say, particularly like, as an edict to gay men, that like being a black man is like the prime thing. Maybe they might think their sexuality is the prime thing. Arguably our sexuality is at the core of our being. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just that was why I was looking for it. That was what.
Oh, sure.
It's funny because when you first started talking, you had mentioned the black man and femininity. Those words came out of your mouth, and I realized. And then you talked about the agenda, media. There is not one positive black African American homosexual male that carries himself in a masculine way.
There you go.
That is in the limelight. So the media is not pushing that at all, but the media pushes Saucy Santana and a lot of the others, Lil Nas X, and it's not bashing, it's not coming down, it's just eyes wide open. They put it right in front of your face.
Let's talk about it, man. That's why you're here.
So all right, let's unpack that for a second, because I think, it's funny, we talked about Jussie Smollett earlier. And and I watched Empire. I remember, I stopped watching it, not because of him, but it just kind of lost my interest, I think, at season 4. So I am interested in how it ended, but I just haven't had the time to keep up with it. But he felt like a fairly, he didn't come across to me as like a super flamboyant, just kind of in your face kind of guy. The dude was gay. You knew he was gay. He was fine. Now he did some fuck shit. But outside of that, he seemed like a decent, representation of a masculine gay man. So
he actually did more to set them back, in my opinion.
I don't think he set anybody.
To me, he wasn't in the limelight as far as what I'm talking.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay,
everybody knows him from Empire, but it doesn't make him like the staple guy that was, everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Jesse was never really talked about like that, except for maybe Empire and his good talent of acting and singing.
But the clarifying question there is just, if he would he represent like a masculine gay man? Because I'm trying to calibrate my instinct here.
So it's funny you're opening up another door. Even when you think about masculine, you kind of think a little bit more on the darker side. I'm just being real. As far as the way women think, you think of being buffed, very muscular. You think of possibly having a child once upon a time in their life, even if they are, those things kind of contribute to what people think masculine is.
Gotcha.
So to me, him almost being that, I guess
Yeah, wafy,
and then also
high pitched voice.
yeah, and then pretty boyish, that whole
I
thing
did.
coming from a show. I think he was in a show way before, that was
Empire.
LGBT way
Oh,
before
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
to me, he never was going to be that staple of masculinity, black man of what they consider to be. You follow what I mean?
Yeah, I have a story to say. I'm not going to say it now because I've been hijacking this thing and we're going to move forward. But I have a story to share on that very specific thing.
Okay. All right. And yeah, we'll definitely come back to that because I think that's important. The other question, and this is one that's perplexed me a lot. Pride weekend, Labor Day weekend.
Black Pride weekend.
Because it is
Well,
too.
I was told it was
Labor
gay
Day weekend
pride.
is
Because
Black
it is
Pride.
too.
So is
Yes.
Black Pride or is it gay
No,
pride?
it's Black Gay Pride.
Right.
Okay.
There is a Gay Pride, which comes, I think, later. Is that the one? Is Black
All
Gay
right.
Pride like in October or
I believe it's
Now,
September.
September? Okay.
now for points of reference, I'm against Black History Month.
No, October, you're right.
Yeah. I'm against Black
Felt like it was
History
recent.
Month, not because I'm against Black history, but because Black history is American history and it's every day. How do you feel about this idea that you should show pride on one weekend? And I have the reason why I'm asking that is because my opinion, but I'll let you eloquently, because you've done actually, you could probably host a show. My issue is that anything that that the man puts in place as a holiday is bothersome to me when I see black people follow behind it, and it's like, okay, because this man says that this is this weekend, this is the way. If you're gay, be gay every day. I mean, so what? I mean, talk to me a little bit about this. How do you feel about Pride Weekend as it's just passed roughly
Right.
2 months ago, exactly?
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I'm not trying to be debatable, but
No, I want
you
you.
would
we here to debate.
you would have to say the same thing about why is there a Christmas, why is there a Thanksgiving? I'm just being honest. Why is there a Juneteenth? You understand? So with that being said, I think throughout the struggle from Stonewall on before that on down to this time of transgenders being murdered left and right, it's been a struggle, it's been a fight, and thank God that whether I like it or not, people are able to be free, people are able to be themselves. See, I never was not able to be free. Sure, I have lived in a bondage, but my bondage was with myself. It was never with my mom, my dad, because just like you, whoever's going to be in my life, I let them know who I am. You know that for a fact.
Correct.
And that's
Yeah.
a black gay man, especially if you're going to be in my life, especially if I have a significant other. You understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, I think it's everybody's a model, everybody's a makeup artist. I say this because this is my field. Everybody's an act. Everybody can be who they want to be, but I think this still should be some couth and decorum. But of course, you're gonna always have ratchet. So.
So you do think that I mean, I won't get into the transgender because that gets us off. That's a whole nother. I have.
Yes, please.
Lord have mercy.
I was just talking
Yeah.
about the struggle of the LGBTQ.
And that's my problem. You're a gay black man. And just as I have had issues with the feminist movement attaching itself to the black community, the white feminist liberal movement attaching its plight to to black females, I have an issue with every other acronym or letter in the acronym attaching it. I do that.
Every letter attaching to what?
All I know is
Finish that statement.
LGBT. I mean LGBT.
He's a black man. He was born a black man.
LGBTQIAA+.
Do we have to do a draft?
Plus.
Because we need him. We don't need him fighting with them. We need him fighting with us because we are the most similarly situated. And that's where I'm going with it.
By we you mean black men.
Exactly. We need every black man. This is beer. The name of this show is Beer in the Conversation for a reason, as you know. And so this is. a black male podcast, radio show, whatever you want to call it. And it's about what we have to do as black men to be united. And they need numbers, like the feminist movement did. They needed numbers. And they're attaching their plight to you, and you don't even really, as we sat here and talked to them, really what he's talking about, really, that shit, it doesn't even really apply to him. He doesn't even identify with their plight. I think that he's a humanity person. I think that he believes in that people should be treated humanely. That's just my opinion.
Sage, how do you feel about that characterization of your opinions?
Who was he talking about? He's talking about me?
He's talking about you.
Yeah.
I was thinking while he was talking, because I thought he was talking about the President of the United States of America for a minute. No,
Oh, yeah.
So here's the deal. I'm a very judgmental person. God says, judge not that ye be not judged. So, I'm very also, I'm full of empathy. Okay? I'm an empath. Say the word for me.
Empathetic.
Yes. I can always see how the other side of how somebody can possibly think or feel. With that being said, it's about tolerance. Tolerance. Okay, I don't like loud, and when loud comes around me, I kind of shut down. I used to run. I can't run all the time. So I need to learn I can't change others. I can only change myself. So when loud is around me, I try to find the good in loud.
Okay, so
That's
I'm
just
sorry.
an example.
Go ahead, Rashid.
Well, I think this will kind of get us where you're trying to get.
Did I not answer his question?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, he'll have to tell
He
you.
said I'm tolerable or something of the sort, didn't he?
You're tolerant.
Yeah, it wasn't close to where I was going, but go ahead. Yeah.
So I think part of the thing here is that, so even if we talk about LGBT, all right, if we just like break that down, right? So you have like lesbians. So these are women who romantically or sexually interact with other women. Gay, which is typically masculine, like men. You have bisexual, which are people who would engage with either gender or sex. Then you have trans, which, and again, I think that thing has gotten just super muddled. I know we didn't want to get super deep into it, but just for the sake of just talking through just these four things.
Yeah, I got you.
Which is a person who either identifies as the other gender or like gets some type of like, transsexual and transgender. These are people that are just like either in truly physical or just in like more outward ways, like through clothing or whatever, like express as another gender. And as an outsider, I mean, the lesbian and gays feels pretty clear, like where the synergy is there. The bisexual is the funny thing is that all my lesbian friends in particular have always told me how they hate bisexuals, especially women, because they can't make up their damn minds and like they just tease you and then end up with a man or whatever. But then the transgender, like, it's a very different thing, and to the point where like now you have the situation where like a biological male who's a trans woman but still has a penis shames a lesbian for not wanting to be with her, right? So like I think to Laris's point of like the numbers, it's just because again, like when you span it all the way out to LGBTQIA, intersexual, asexual, like, and it's even like allies, which is everybody, right? Like it's like everybody just doesn't hate,
Rashid, one of the things that and this is never justifying, it's just facts. The LGBT, the whole community have hatred within their own community.
I believe you.
Sure, and that's the thing. It's too many people to
yet
not have
they
that.
demand to want to be accepted by outside of their community. And so just how you were stating about the black man, whether gay, whether straight, we need to come together. The community, LGBT community, needs to come together as well, fully come together.
Right. Right.
But
yeah.
you're never going to be satisfied in life.
No, I mean, I think so. What it is for me when I see the acronyms, when I see feminism and the infiltration of feminism into black culture with women as well, what I see a different agenda. I see a well-planned agenda. And I think that if you came from a mother and father, well, first off, you had to be born of a mother and father, or you wouldn't even be alive. But when you start talking about the way that you were raised, you have a thorough understanding. As a gay man, a gay black man, you have more reach and influence over an impressionable mind than a straight black man who didn't have his father. And that's why we're here today. We're here today to say that, listen, this shit got to stop. Ain't gonna be no more, because I know you anyway, and me and you ain't had no beef. But all this other shit between straight men and black men, straight black men and gay black men, it's got to stop. All of it. Because we do need each other. And we all short-handed. And we have a common enemy. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing it to say that, look, listen, I'll take the men who have morals. What you do behind, I gives no fucks. If you chew tobacco, if you smoke crack behind closed doors, that has nothing to do with me. But can you tell a young man to pull his goddamn pants up? Can you tell him to say thank you? Can you tell him to say you're welcome to somebody that says thank you to him? This is where we are.
If I can interject.
Yeah.
I definitely want to be thorough with the conversation. This is not about being masculine. You were asking me about the media.
Yes.
And I mentioned what the media is pushing and the agenda. So you have to realize, effeminate is a real word. Effeminate exists. Some men are effeminate. You understand?
Some straight men are effeminate.
Right. So this is just about the representation and how I just feel whether you're, soft, hard, as a black gay male, you should always present yourself in a manner, especially when you're looked down on, when you're almost the bottom of the totem pole in the black race. Mm-hmm. Just carry yourself as an example. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would
The best you can. The best you can. The best that you can.
Yeah, I guess.
The best that you can, because everybody's a work in progress. Everybody.
And I guess the other side of that, and this goes for Laris's feminist thing, which again, I hate when he talks about feminism, only because feminism is not just one thing. There are a lot of different schools of thought in feminism.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the sexual revolution and abortions.
Some are about abortion. Some are just about, hey, I'm a woman and I'd like to get this particular job or a credit card, and there's no reason I legally shouldn't be able to do that. And I think the latter is perfectly reasonable. But if it becomes like abortion all the time, up to the day of birth, all that sort of stuff, then conversations need to be had.
I'm talking about the hippie movement where they was popping ass and just having sex all the time and get rid of babies. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's more than the feminist movement. I think that's the 60s. Oh man, I lost my train of thought again. I'm sorry. It's a no.
First off, women's suffrage is real. And I can even understand to a degree why we have the backlash that we have with regard to women wanting to be, that's why we did the show Hybrid Traditionalism. About the idea of them being participatory when it comes to marriages and this old school idea. Because I think that most people have mentally attached the idea of tradition in marriage to, as a man, I get to tell you what to do. You know what I mean? And those are two different things. And so I can understand that there's some blowback, and rightfully so. But I think that the reason that we do radio is because we want to bridge gaps and misunderstandings. We want to have the discussions that most people don't want to have. And so with regard to that, I think in this particular case, I think that we're a little light here on this side in terms of black men. So we're gonna have to take. They're gonna have to do without the acronym for now. Gay black men gonna have to come over here and just work with straight black men. Now, if they want to go back and then fight for the LGBT community, that's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. But ain't nobody gonna take no rights away from no gay man because they're human beings.
But I think,
they're well established at this point.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I know that you're always going to have homophobic people, but I think the world is more tolerant today. Straight men are more tolerant today.
I think so.
You know, this generation, you know, as much as I could say negative things, I could say a lot of positive things. This generation is very much about a lot of tolerance and letting people be who they want to be, do what they want to do. And then,
you know what helps with that? Honesty. Honesty helps with that.
Yeah. And people are gay and proud today. So, you know, I respect that. Again, you know, I just always felt for wanting to let my best shine to whomever is around me, to whomever sees me. You know what I'm saying? Do I complain? Yes. It's not always going to be a positive thing that comes out of my mouth, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it per se. You know, so that's it. This generation is more tolerable.
I think they are. I think they're much more tolerable. And curious. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I mean, that's left up to the individual themselves to figure that out. However, what I will say is this: to thine own self be true.
Exactly.
Like you say.
My favorite line.
But I definitely believe that where we are, if we don't reach across the aisle as black men, and I'm talking about everything, whether 5%ers, Muslims, Christians, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, we're black nationalists. And that is our first mission. Now, we have a real enemy. I'm gonna let Monk and them and Rashid, if they do it next week, get into this issue with Jewish people and the Kanye West matter. But we have a lot of
that one. You gonna duck out of that one?
Yeah. Lord. I had to erase a video today because I made a statement. And he's like, yeah, take that shit down. But we have enough enemies that, you know, I think if we come together, Crips, Bloods, whatever, you know, as black men, we'll make it. Our problem is a lot of times each other. You know, it's not much that we can. If we're unified, we'll be okay. Because we really are all we have. I'm gonna say.
If you don't mind me interjecting, and
I did this talk radio,
and I'm plugging my business in.
Please.
So I work at a spot at Pont City Market called the Village Retail. And this is a all-black establishment with over 47 to 50 local artisans in Georgia and some little outskirts of Georgia. And all of their products, from shea butters to leather bags to leather shoes, I mean, jackets, scents. It's ridiculous. Jewelry, it's ridiculous. And it's all black owned. And you said coming together. And Dr. Key Hallman, the CEO, she felt we should have our own. And her motto is support is a verb. So you got this black woman that feels we should have our own. She sees the potential in these entrepreneurs and she creates a retail space for them. And even before the retail space, 4 times out of the year, quarterly, for a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday, she would have 75 to 100 black entrepreneurs under one roof selling their items. Not just selling their items, she would have health professionals giving lectures. It would be rappers, singers, dance. It was like a village. And that's why it's called the Village Market Retail. But like you said, it's about coming together.
It is. So I believe that this is the beginning of the dawn of a new day for where we are in our lives. I know I'm kind of the young gunner of the squad, with regards to you and Rashid. But I'm excited because this is our time. The time to impact change is right where we are in terms of age.
Rise up, yes.
Yeah, because we're physically strong enough to challenge the younger generation, but wiser. And then the older generation may be slightly wiser, but we're wise enough to challenge them and certainly physically strong enough to. We are at the apex of strength and wisdom, and we are the leadership. And we don't have to wait on like a Messiah and as much as I love Malcolm X and the rest of them, we don't have to wait on that anymore. We can be, like Mahatma Gandhi said, we can be the change that we want to see in the world. And again, man, I mean, I know that, listen, I don't know what you go through. I don't know, and I hope you've been a good person to me, and I care about you as an individual. But I'm very happy that you were brave enough. I'm sure that Missy to come down. No, I mean that very seriously because it took a lot of courage for me to even ask. This is typically not what we do, and I know we had mentioned it, and and so this is just a wonderful thing. If you have any closing statements, please feel free to make them. I let or if Rashid, if you would like to go first. And then we'll let you speak last.
Yeah, we'll let you close it out, Sage. I'll just tell the story I was going to tell earlier, which is that when years ago I used to do a lot of community volunteer work, and in one of the organizations that I was a member of, I was a vice chair, and chair was a gay man. And I remember after one of our meetings, we went out, I think for dinner or something like that, and I don't remember how this came up, but I remember being embarrassed about this fact in my life, and that fact is that my ability to fully, and fully is probably not the right word, but my degree of empathy for being gay evolved after watching the movie. And the movie was X-Men, I think the second X-Men movie.
Okay.
And so in X-Men, there's this character named Mystique. And Mystique can turn into anything she wants to turn into. She can inhabit any form that she wants. And there's a character that says something to her about, like, hey, you can be anything you want. I mean, what kind of problem do you have? Like her original form is like blue with like red hair or whatever.
That purple.
Yeah. And she was like, she's like, I just want to be myself. Like, she's like, I don't want to put on, or look like something else. I want to be my blue, purple haired self. And that really simple moment and this really silly movie really changed something for me. And I was and I was admitting it to him. He said, you know what my movie was? I was like, well, he said, get on the bus. I said, why is that? He said, because get on the bus the first time I saw a gay man that wasn't acting like a fucking crazy person. And so when you were talking earlier about that was the thing that struck me, that and he said that helped him come out because he didn't want to be that, you know what I'm saying? But there wasn't really an archetype for him at the time. All right. So.
Hey, shout out to Lotto and shout out to Kim Kardashian. They did Mystique for Halloween. They had it posted on IG who was the better. And they did it great.
Nice.
But nice story. I appreciate you, Laris. It's a pleasure meeting you, sitting alongside you, King Rashid. Like you said, to thine own self be true. I'll just end with that. And it's great conversation that needs to be had. And I did want to say, he asked me how I met you, and I told him and how long I met you. And then I also said I watch your show when I'm able to. And listening to the conversations, once you had one show I did catch, you had two sisters on here as well. It was about three brothers. Yeah, right. So I used to sit and watch it, and I said, they got great dialogue. Some things I had a different perspective on, and I said it would be so cool if they had a decent gay dude up on it, and not that everybody had to know you're gay, but just the perspective of a gay mind on the panel. So it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
And I came to you with them.
It's a pleasure. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
so dreams do come
Yeah,
true.
yeah. The seed was planted a long time ago. Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, East Point, smoke some dank.
Oh, National